Nigeria's economic mainstay before the discovery of oil, agriculture is still adjudged by many to be a lucrative venture with potentials of turning around fortunes of not just the farmers, but the nation at large. Now, for the records, agriculture continues to contribute immensely to Nigeria's gross domestic product. Today, it is safe to say many youths have embraced agriculture as a means of financial independence due to the vast areas yet to be explored. In spite of the prospects, Nigeria is yet to be food sufficient, enough to feed itself, of course. Many have called for the involvement of more youths as the federal government continues to create more schemes and programs in the sector, while some question the lack of interest displayed by some youths. Now, what else needs to be done to attract attention of the vast majority of youths in agriculture? This is what we'll be discussing with guests on Nigeria Today. Welcome to the program. I'm Victor Azu. Now, joining us to discuss youth and agricultural business in Nigeria is Dr. Emeka Okengu. Dr. Okengu is a development economist and farmer. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure to be here. Good evening, Nigerians.
Now, joining us again via Zoom is Retsin Tedeke, National Coordinator, Nigeria Farmers Group and Cooperative Society. Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you so very much for having me.
Now, let me begin with you, Retsin. What's your assessment of agriculture as a major contributor to Nigeria's GDP?
Thank you very much. The bottom line is agriculture is the only sector in Nigeria today that has the capacity to be able to move this country into sustainable economic development and progressive growth year after year. And I don't say this lightly, because most of the time we make the mistake of thinking that a nation of 200 million people, a nation with 84 million arable hectares of farmland, a nation that have the capacity of producing what Africa can sustain on, is still looking for technology and transfer options that can help us develop our sectors. Look, Africa is capable, and Nigeria, when I say Africa, I'm talking about Nigeria. We are capable of growing our GDP by double digits within the next 5 years, just from agriculture alone. So if you look at agriculture vis-a-vis other sectors, there is no sector in Nigeria today that has the capacity of moving 10 million Nigerians into full-blown employment. There is no sector today that have the capacity of improving the IGR of states. There is no sector today that have the capacity of increasing our export capacity by double digits other than agriculture. So in context, agriculture as a sector, agriculture as a business, agriculture as a way of life, agriculture as a national treasure is the only way this country is capable of being that shining light atop the hill for economic growth. So yes, if you ask me about what agriculture stands for, it stands for the foundation of Nigerian economic revolution and growth.
Thank you, Retsin Tedeke, for your opening shots. We'll get back to you when we'll talk more about what is on ground versus what you have enumerated. But let me come back here to Dr. Okengu in the studio. Now, for a while, the agriculture sector seems to have changed and has become more appealing to the youths. Is the appeal commensurate with the interests that it has generated in the youths, for instance?
Well, each time I hear the word youth, I like to put definitions to it. There are two broad definitions. Some people say youth starts from 18 to 35. Some other people say it's between 18 to 45, depending on what statistics you're using. If it's United Nations statistics or our local, I think it's in that neighborhood. Why do I want to start from there? Because at 26, I wasn't a youth, I was a father. Because I was a married man. Okay, I got married at 26, and at 27, I had gotten my first child. So
that doesn't mean that you're no longer a youth.
No, please, it's important you understand the context it comes from, because it also comes with a responsibility. Okay? It is important that when we're treating the word youth, we treat it as what it is, adult. Okay, the moment you use that word adult, that at 18, somebody is an adult. And a lot of the statistics that are used in actually rating, what you can become in future is what you are when you are 18, vis-a-vis the skills you have, vis-a-vis the education you have, vis-a-vis, the exposure you have, vis-a-vis your preparedness into adulthood. And that is why at 18, people qualify to vote, at least.
So in this context, is it a question of the youth not making decisions commensurate with their age? Or because I'm looking at, yes, and everybody says, including you, that agriculture is doing so well, it's lucrative, is this, is that. But why is it not generating commensurate interest?
That's what I'm saying. I needed for us to be able to establish, a proper background into what agriculture is. Because, you see, if you're not very careful, you can also look at agriculture from the perspective of the three blind men and the elephant. And all of them were very, very correct in the analysis of it being very bristol, it's being hard, it's being soft, depending on where the blind man touched. But if you look at agriculture holistically, there's one thing you wouldn't have put inside your intro. You wouldn't have put the word farmers. Okay? You'd have not put participants or stakeholders, because a lot of what happens in agriculture, when you look at it holistically, more of it will not happen at the value level, where the farmers necessarily won't be there. And then at the back end, you now have technology, okay, where you're not talking about hoe and digger and shovel, and cutlass, right? So it's important you're able to, ask yourself, why do we have potential? This time we talk about agriculture, we're not talking about agriculture contributing to the GDP in real terms. We're talking about the potentials of agriculture to contribute to the GDP in real terms. Okay, because truly, agriculture is not a major contributor, to the GDP in real terms.
Of course.
You understand what I'm saying? So
that's why Redson is talking about capacity. Beautiful.
So if you don't have that understanding, okay, and I'll tell you why it is like that. It is because we have kept treating agriculture as pro-poor, right? We have kept treating agriculture as something, let us be able to get our youth interested. Let's be able to get the population. They can be able to lift people out of poverty. No, that's not how you should be able to treat agriculture. You must be able to disaggregate agriculture for what it is. And the only way you can be able to get it right, my brother, is to be able to now identify those streams of agriculture that can now disaggregate into now forming what you can call your national whole. And in that case, you must treat food production as a different subsect, okay? Because the demands of agriculture for food security is not the same demands for agriculture for health security. It's not even the same demands for agriculture for housing security. It's not the same, for agriculture for even transportation security. So it's important that in disaggregating this, you are able to now say, okay, if we're talking about agriculture, let's make agriculture what it is holistically, science of plants and animals. But what can we be able to get out of agriculture? And this is where you can begin to now draw these clear lines. And then probably begin to now put volumes or values or percentages on what it can be able to contribute to your national economy.
All right, thank you, Dr. Kengo. Let me head back to Zoom, where we have Redson Tedeke waiting. Redson, many schemes have been set up by the federal government to encourage participation in the sector, especially to encourage the youths. We won't stop talking about the youths. But can government be said to have done enough from where you are coming?
First and foremost, let me say something with regards to what my co-guest in the studio just said with regards to trying to separate all the components of agriculture so that we can have full value. Then I will look at what the government has done to encourage agriculture. You see, one of the biggest mistakes we make when we talk about agriculture is that we're talking about agriculture in abstract. It is time for Nigerians to actually look at agriculture for what it is. Every single developed nation today, except Hong Kong, their development were actually agrarian driven. And I always say this unapologetically. Nigeria discovered crude oil and agriculture became a source of sustaining crude oil. Majority of the industrial world saw crude oil as a source of sustaining agriculture because the foundation of development has always been agrarian. Now, you have to look at what you have to be able to look at where you need to go based on what you have. You see, in the 50s and 60s and 70s and 80s, our parents planted trees. Our parents today were young men then. If they planted trees in the 80s, why is it that we lost interest in planting trees today? Like I always say, it is because we got so engrossed in the miracle mindset. Now, let us look at what agriculture is for the youth and if government is doing enough. Honestly, government is not doing enough. However, does that mean that government is not making attempts? Yes. But then it brings us to the foundation of our crisis as a country. There is the only sector of the Nigerian state that is interested in using agriculture as a source of industrial revolution is the federal government. All the local governments are practically non-existent. They are not working. Most of the state governments are not interested in agriculture. Why? Because they are able to go to Abuja, cap in hand, pick up allocation, come back home, salaries and recorded expenditures, and not do what should be done in their state. I am in Nasarawa State, for example, and I can tell you unequivocally that Nasarawa State has the capacity to be able to make billions and hundreds of billions of naira annually from sesame seed. So how do you get the youth to be involved and encourage them to participate in agriculture? It is simple and straightforward. One, you have to make agriculture sustainable, viable, and entertaining. So you come to the farm. As I speak to you right now, I'm talking to you from the farm in Gate. Now, I have internet facilities all around the farm. Every sector of my farm is connected to the internet. So the Fulani man is able to be online. The Hausa man is able to be online. The Madam man and the Go man is able to be online. And not just that. When he closes from farm in the evening, there is residence for him to sleep in. And not just that. When he closes from farm in the evening, they are all watching NTA 24 now. The Fulani man in the ranch with a cow is watching NTA 24. And not just that. There's a table tennis court, there's a snooker court, there's a badminton court, there's a lawn tennis court, there is a football court, and all of this makes the farm a community, a farm settlement park, just like what the Cubic project in Israel, as well as the Chinese revolution and model. The point is this. Let us stop speaking English. I get fed up when we talk English with regards to agriculture. The youth want to get involved. The youth want to get involved. You only have to get them involved by making it enticing. How many people out there in the cities look at agriculture as viable business opportunity? They don't see it as such. For as long as they don't see it as a project that is sustainable for their livelihood, for their family, for their interest, they will never be interested. So whether it's a youth or it's an adult or whoever it is, the point is, are Nigerian youth seen agriculture as a source of long-term sustainability? Do they see it as something that is capable of giving them what they need to keep them going? When you answer that question, then
we'll get back into all of this, Redson. We'll get back into all of this. But let's pause for a break for now and get the input of Nigerians on the streets. Nigeria Today will return afterwards.
If you notice recently, the only thing that is raining now is agriculture, because oil prices has gone down because of the pandemic, and it has refused to rise. So it is the only thing that is selling, the only thing that you are sure if you get it into the market, you get your money. Even if you notice recently, onion has become like a gold. So if I'm going into farming now, I should be an onion farmer.
I tried my hands on maize plantation and cassava, But I think that the government also needs to put more support. I mean, make the policies more easy to, execute, So if somebody like me needs help to farm, I should be able to get it without necessarily having to, bother about bureaucracies. I mean, will there be other requests as per other than being interested?
Some youths are just loitering around. They're not doing anything. Some of them can go and merge with each other to get a pond and start rearing fish.
I once ventured into fish production, fish farming.
Until government ensure that rural farmers and agricultural institutions work collaboratively together. I mean, you don't, it's only the farmer that know where they should pitches them. There's no amount of agricultural policies that can have direct impact on rural farmers, except the rural farmers have been involved in policy makings, and the few people among them that are educated should be involved in agricultural government policies.
Welcome back, and if you've just tuned in, you're right on time. The program is Nigeria Today, and we are discussing youth and agricultural business in Nigeria. Now, let's put this in perspective, Dr. Kengo. Only yesterday, the president relaunched the Young Farmers Scheme, and it raises the question, there are a lot of programs, to be honest, in this administration that are agriculture related. But are people aware enough to key in so that we can achieve the kind of results that we desire and require as a nation?
Okay, in every system, there are what you call the P, and the A. The first P is policy, the second P is program, the third P is action. Now, the first P is where the president operates. Okay, he comes with, this is my policy focus. I want 10 million youths engaged in agriculture. Okay, and he presents that as government policy. And then the second P is the program, where you now have the agencies, the ministries, the agencies, and the departments who now begin to now flesh it out. Okay, and then the third thing is the action, where you have probably what you now call your collaborations, your PPAs. What am I trying to say? The president alone cannot be president and be minister and be DG and be governor and be local government. He's done what it is. The only thing he now does with his own P is that he supports it with what you call government policies. Okay? Right? He supports it with what you call the governance and administrative framework that can be able to drive this process. Now, can agriculture do for us what agriculture has done for other people in the world? The answer is yes. But it is not for you to see that everybody is going to be loaded into that back end. Because every other country that has done well in agriculture has done well not because of the human labor or human brawn that they put in, but because of the technology, okay, and the mechanization that they put into it. And then you now see people being engaged at the other end of agriculture. I talked about agriculture and health. Everybody talks about phytomedication. Where do you get phyto extracts from? It is from plants. It is from agriculture. Okay, everything that you have as artisemia or anything that is based to treat the malaria comes from the artisemia plants. It is through that extraction process. So if you don't have science doing that, what you're going to be having will be herbal medication. So the difference between now what you call your orthodox medication and your herbal remedies will now be the science you apply to those plants in extraction. Now, we're talking about growing our livestock. What is livestock all about? There's no livestock without forage. Okay? Remembering that this is a country at one time that was even trying to go to another country to go and plant and import a forage. Now, point I'm trying to make to you, Victor, and this is the point everybody misses. This is why each time somebody says, oh, Dr. Mecca, you're a farmer. I say, yes, I'm a farmer. But let me tell you what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to aggregate, technology to be able to support what it is I'm doing, so that you now have what you call. Well, it's not even. You make the fines of it, because every hectare of land is supposed to be yielding, and these are statistically known. So you're not flying in the dark. Now, if you want government to help you, the first thing government can be able to do, government is in charge of land. You now need to start aggregating your volumes to be able to now get what you call your values. If you have 100 million people in Nigeria and we need to nutritionally support them with protein and carbohydrates and that and that and that. Now, what you need to be talking about is not food. You're supposed to be talking about nutrition. And do you know how this operates? Now, you are supposed to be getting X amount of, carbohydrate-based food, starch-based foods from X amount of hectares of land, okay, across X amount of this, introducing X amount of this and that and that. This is how it operates.
But let's look at it this way. If I want to drop all of this and say, okay, let me go into agriculture, what's the size of capital that is needed to begin, agriculture and business?
Tell me what you want to do. If you want to do,
whether it is,
I'll tell you. Let me tell you. If you want to do 200 beds poultry, 100 beds poultry, you'll be requiring an input of about maybe 167, 180,000, depending on at what stage you're buying. Are you buying day-old chicks or 2 weeks or 3 weeks? And with a financial capital outlay of 180,000 maximum, okay, and you're selling at 3,500 or 3,000 even, you're going to be returning 300,000 on 100 beds, give and take. So that,
as profits or as part of the capital?
No, as your gross. As your gross. No, everything. You're going to be grossing 300,000. When you remove the 180 or 150, depending, okay,
and on for how long?
7 weeks, 8 weeks. This is how simple it is. So when people talk about that, that's why you must be able to disaggregate. If you want to fatten cattle, it takes 90 days, to be able to take cattle from probably 150 kg or 180 kg to about 300 or 400 kg with the right nutrients. 90 days.
All right. Let's go back to Zoom. I'm sure Redsin is itching to say something about this. Redsin, I was going to ask you the same. Do you agree with Dr. Kengu that 180, 200 could start you a poultry business, as in the context in which he has put it?
Well, like you rightly said, it depends on the volume you are taking in, and then the total cost implication, particularly with regards to your region. You also have to look at times like with challenges like the COVID-19, the price, the cost implication of raising your bed will definitely go up. And so you have to look at other challenges to be able to make that happen. But then I'll go back to your question with regards to the youths themselves. Has government done enough for them? Like I told you, no. However, are they doing enough to attract investment? I don't think they are doing enough as well.
Time. We need to make this quick because of time, so you have to double up on the exact questions.
Yes. Like I said, it varies. If you go across the Nigerian state right now, the prices for each, whether you're talking about cow cultivation or you're rearing of cow, you're looking at poultry, you're looking about maize, you're talking about soya beans. They all vary from state to state. The market also varies. The bottom line with regards to all of this is, like you rightly said, government is saying we have launched a new program to support youth. The problem you have really is that too many of our youths actually don't know what is available for them out there to access. So you have to first and foremost educate them on, if you want to go into agriculture, do you have the right education to be able to go full into agriculture and then make money from agriculture? The truth is, the Nigerian climate right now is actually very, very tough for farmers. Because the farmer practically is not just an investor, it's also a provider of security, it's also the provider of infrastructure. And so you have to be both states, the local government and the federal government are doing with regards to most of the foundational infrastructure that are required for him to take off, so that whatever the my colleague there has said can now be used. The rate can drop, because that is what farmers all over the world, the advantage they have that the Nigerian farmer does not have. They have infrastructure, they have the data support, they have the structural support. We don't have it. So if you are telling the youth to come on board, the question you have to ask yourself as policymakers is, what have you provided for the Nigerian youth to tap into? Not that you tell
all right, Redsin. There's not so much I can take from you at this time, but your point is made. I understand more needs to be done to help the youths to be interested in agriculture and make the most of it. But let me take a few seconds with Dr. Kengu. Finally, food sufficiency has been a major problem. Can we find it at this rate?
Shared prosperity is the way to go. The moment you do shared prosperity, you do common shared infrastructure. Okay, you do a proper sequencing of your back end. Okay, those are input needs, and you support it with technology. Okay, you would be throwing away food, I can assure you.
All right, thank you very much indeed, Dr. Emeka Okengu, development economist, and Redsin Tedeke, national coordinator, Nigeria Farmers Group and Cooperative Society. Thank you for your time and thoughts on Nigeria Today. Now that's it on the midweek edition of Nigeria Today, but you can watch this and other editions of the program on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. My name is Victor Azo. Thank you for watching.